Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 183 based on novel. So let's start. Origin continent, origin world, Huyang city, city owner's mansion. Inside the Star Tower. Luo Feng has been here for a long time using the Wisdom Book and Eye of Life and Death to study those high-level primordial bloodlines, as he had long understood the low-level primordial bloodlines completely. However, he had only researched about 70% of the high-level primordial bloodlines, with only 3 portions now. Luo Feng felt an invisible fluctuation descending, and a weapon appeared out of thin air before him. The treasures exchanged with infinite space reward points were also summoned in this way. This saber? Luo Feng held his breath the moment he saw the saber. This saber was pitch black throughout, with its powers concentrated within the blade. Just seeing it, Luo Feng felt an awe similar to watching the Star Tower blood scale, supreme and unmatched. Its level of power even reminded Luo Feng of the source world origin. Is this saber also one I can wield? Luo Feng cautiously reached out to grasp the handle. The saber did not resist at all. Luo Feng grasped the saber. What a terrifying saber! As Luo Feng held the saber, he vaguely understood that even though he was just a life within a braided cage, if he were to swing the saber, those high-level primordial lives would probably be instantly obliterated. This saber contained the highest level of destructive power, making it a highly coveted weapon for world-level primordial experts. Due to the cultivator camp's limited number of world-level primordial lives, while the spoils from camp wars were plentiful, at this critical moment of life and death, Senior Yuan and others finally opened up these treasures to the cultivators. As long as your talent is sufficiently high, these treasures are exchangeable. If a cultivator dies, these treasures will still be reclaimed. Different from the blood scale inside the Star Tower, which is ultimately just a scale, incapable of exerting strong power. This saber, however, was naturally bred by the infinite primordial space, inherently possessing terrifying destructive power. Holding the saber, Luo Feng felt like a small mouse touching the buttons of a nuclear weapon. With a casual swing, it could destroy heaven and earth, with the source world likely to fall into great destruction. I'm too weak. Before breaking free from the braided cage, it can only serve to enlighten me. Luo Feng understood this point, which was also why he exchanged for this saber. He intended to use it for cultivation. To cross-reference with the Star Tower blood scale. Let's take a look. The Eye of Life and Death on Luo Feng's forehead opened. He didn't rush to use the Wisdom Book, instead seeking to view the interior of this sky-splitting saber first. Buzz. Inside the sky-splitting saber was an endless web of secret patterns. What is this? Luo Feng gazed at the magnificent, infinite web of secret patterns, and with his understanding of life and destruction, almost instantly determined that the secret patterns he saw were divided into only 2 categories. One category was destruction, constituting around 89%. The other category was life, constituting around 11%. Just 2 categories of secret patterns. Luo Feng felt a bit dazed. After having researched many primordial bloodlines and studied the Eye of Life and Destruction, as well as the Star Tower blood scale, which contain many categories of secret patterns. This is what makes a weapon. The secret patterns are very pure. Luo Feng marveled, exactly what I wanted, destruction as the main part, life as the secondary part. As he carefully observed, Luo Feng harnessed his own powers to refine this saber. The saber, already prepared by Senior Yuan and others, was easy to refine, taking merely half a day for him to succeed. The moment refining succeeded. As Luo Feng held the saber, destructive aura rose from the saber's surface, while destructive aura rose from Luo Feng's body. The person and saber seemed to become one. It feels as though I naturally became part of the saber. Luo Feng murmured, it should be that my realm is too low to perfectly control the saber. Instead, I'm being influenced by it. Holding the saber, Luo Feng's mind sensed a presence in an extremely distant place. That place was very far from the origin continent, origin world. Even further away than the dark sacred realm by who knows how many times. In the telepathic sensing of Luo Feng's many avatars, there was only one feeling. The mysterious place sensed at this moment was extremely far away. Who tilde 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 tilde? At that mysterious place, Luo Feng faintly sensed endless destruction aura and, in vagueness, perceived one weapon after another, each weapon in various forms, each giving Luo Feng a feeling not inferior to the sky-splitting saber. Numerous weapons were hidden there. Compared to that mysterious place, the destructive aura contained within the sky-splitting saber couldn't even compare to a mere fraction. Sky-splitting saber should have been conceived here. Holding the saber, Luo Feng instinctively had this perception, sensing that the sky-splitting saber in his hand had a sense of belonging to that place, as that was the sky-splitting saber's homeland. In the future, if I break free from this braided cage and if my strength is enough, I must find a chance to see it. Luo Feng felt great curiosity about that place. Then stopped pondering further, resuming the use of the wisdom book to study the sky-splitting saber. As the owner of the sky-splitting saber, the saber did not defend against him, allowing the wisdom book to uncover numerous secrets. So, using destruction as a core, the integration of life and destruction can go so far. Looking at the countless layers of space contained within the pages of the wisdom book, which continuously displayed the secret pattern diagrams of the sky-splitting saber, the secret pattern diagrams emerged repeatedly, even changing over time. I've seen another path for life and destruction fusion, Luo Feng murmured. The most brilliant secret pattern diagram he had seen before was that of the Star Tower blood scale. There, Luo Feng saw the path using life as the main focus and destruction as the assistant. When life was powerful enough, a simple gesture could yield infinite might. It was very easy to have extremely strong power in destruction. His life and death Tao was traveling this path. In truth, using destruction as the core with life as assistance also leads to the highest level. Luo Feng now saw this path, the path displayed by the sky-splitting saber. Using life as a guide, it instead brings ultimate destruction. Every strand of vitality can trigger destruction exponentially billions of times. Billion-fold destructive energy can still cause chain reactions, continuing to evoke countless folds of destructive energy. That's true destruction of everything. It's too crazy. Such destruction to the end might even be self-destructive. Luo Feng murmured, this is the Tao carried by weapons. Primordial life itself is probably very difficult to carry such a Tao. Any primordial life must first be alive themselves. So those primordial bloodlines will contain life-type secret patterns. No matter how skilled in destruction, primordial life will also contain secret patterns of other Taos. It can't be as extreme as weapons. My original path is correct, the life and death Tao should primarily focus on life. Luo Feng thought, however, I can still absorb some mysteries of destruction and integrate them to perfect my path. A new world unfolded in front of him, and Luo Feng couldn't help but immerse himself in it. Dark Sacred Realm, inside a large primordial hall. Limited to buying one secret treasure, he redeemed the sky-splitting saber. Two high-level primordial lives were also constantly observing Luo Feng. We high-level primordial lives will receive strong cultivation support during the walker phase. But once becoming high-level primordial life, the resources given to us rapidly decrease. The woman in the fiery red robe gently shook her head. For instance, I don't even qualify to exchange for this sky-splitting saber. All the opportunities meant for you are already given. The silver-haired and silver-eyebrowed man said, in the end, you became a high-level primordial life by ultimate bloodline awakening. How could the Lords possibly continue to cultivate you intensely? The woman in the fiery red robe nodded. She understood too. High-level primordial life, in the camp wars, is merely insignificant soldiers. High-level primordial lives are categorized. If they comprehend bloodline mysteries and directly break through, they still receive enough cultivation support. For those like them, hoping to become world-level primordials can be nearly ignored. Luo Feng's potential is far greater than ours. The silver-haired and silver-eyebrowed man Qiu Ji said, as a fusion Dao cultivator, the strength he has demonstrated is stronger than some fusion Dao cultivators I know. The Lord mentioned that Luo Feng has gone to extremes. he is not pursuing the balance of life and destruction but instead pursuing the massive extent of life, which greatly increases the difficulty of integrating life and destruction. Euphea said, but at the same time, once successful, the strength becomes evidently more powerful. His walking out of the dark sacred realm. The silver-haired and silver-eyebrowed man slightly smiled. We are the garrison commanders of the dark sacred realm. If we don't help him now, when he jumps out of the braided cage, we won't have the qualification to help him anymore. Euphea's mind was moved. Fusion Dao cultivators, extremely talented, mostly likely to become world-level primordials. The silver-haired and silver-eyebrowed man said, by then, he might support us and deploy us under his command, so our days will be more favorable. Euphea nodded. How do we help? He should be nearing a breakthrough but missing a crucial part. Let's pick a suitable opponent for him. The silver-haired and silver-eyebrowed man smiled. Among over 30,000 imprisoned high-level primordial lives, choose the most suitable opponent. Helping him break through, the causality is enough. The silver-haired and silver-eyebrowed man said, if he still doesn't break through, we will think of other ways. Let's go. Euphea nodded. They both clearly understood that currently, they are high-level primordial lives, but in the future, they would be looking up to Luo Feng. Whoosh! They arrived at the time-space cage deep within the large primordial hall. One by one, the imprisoned high-level primordial lives also saw them. We are preparing to select a primordial prisoner to send to the wilds of the dark sacred realm. This primordial prisoner will also be granted temporary freedom. Qiu swept his gaze coldly. Who wants to go for such a good thing? These imprisoned high-level primordial lives, upon hearing this, felt a bit frightened. Exiled out? Once exiled and strength sealed, ultimately, they'll be surrounded and killed by those weaker walkers. These primordial prisoners all understood this point. Exile means impending death. In the wilds of the dark sacred realm, occasionally, a primordial prisoner will appear. With the walker's exploration ability in the wilds, why does occasionally one primordial prisoner emerge? Also with sealed strength? It is clearly intentionally released. Two garrison commanders, I am willing to join the cultivator camp and surrender my life core for refinement. One mass of large black mist spoke. Join? Qiu and Euphea both looked at this group of prisoners with a smirk. Don't even think about it. Last time, during the Lord's large-scale recruitment, tens of millions captured innate high-level primordial lives chose to submit, their life cores were refined, and they forever became part of our cultivator camp. If you didn't submit back then, it is too late now being sent to various sacred realms. Qiu sneered. Too late? Many of these innate primordial lives were recently sent, not too aware. Only the Lords can perform life core refinement. Hence, only during the Lord's recruitment is the only chance for submission. Qiu sneered. Your strength is quite good, and amongst over 30,000 prisoners, your size is the largest. Euphea suddenly walked to a spatial cage, looking at the imposing and massive fiery red rock life inside. Good fortune to be exiled to the dark sacred realm, you're the one. I'm exiled? The massive fiery red rock life was taken aback. Your strength should be sealed a bit more. Qiu immediately used the command token beside and quickly increased the restraints on this primordial prisoner. This primordial prisoner's strength was rapidly suppressed and sealed, even its size quickly shrank, and its aura also weakened increasingly. Falling out of the high-level primordial level, and its strength continued to be suppressed. Moments later, its visible aura barely even surpassed Divine Emperor Jiku. The other primordial prisoners looked at it, feeling complex. They understood clearly that exile meant death. I will die. The fiery red rock prisoner gazed at the two garrison commanders, but in this war, your whole cultivator camp will be completely destroyed, all territories trampled by us. Ultimately, perhaps only those few lords will survive lonely, but every territory will become our hunting grounds. Just watch. The silver-haired and silver-eyebrowed man sneered, reached out his hand, and with the fiery red rock life fully sealed, it shrank and sat in his palm. The two garrison commanders took this primordial prisoner and promptly left. The remaining over 30,000 primordial prisoners watched this scene with complex thoughts but understood that being imprisoned, they could only be at others' mercy. A wilderness in the dark sacred realm. Swoosh! Space fluctuated, and a giant of fiery red rock appeared on the ground, looking around with a fierce gaze. Exiled? Am I to be besieged by those weak cultivators? It felt an endless rage and unwillingness in its heart. As a high-level primordial life, was it really to be dismembered by the ants within the braided cage? It even wanted to commit suicide at this moment, but ever since becoming a prisoner, even suicide was impossible. It had become the spoils of war for the cultivator camp, a resource for them. Cultivators would study its body materials and bloodline mysteries, even use it for artifact refining, crafting auxiliary treasures. Every part of its body would be utilized by the cultivators to the highest efficiency. Cultivators. It let out an angry low growl. The fiery red on its body surface became even more dazzling, the rock on its surface began to melt, and its aura surged. However, the suppression power erupted, and illusory chains penetrating its body appeared, one end of which penetrated its body and the other linked to the void, suppressing it with infinite earthly force. Cultivators, all your territories will be flattened, except for a few lords. All other cultivators will become our food. It was filled with hatred, yet had nowhere to vent. It walked step by step in the wilderness, enduring endless suppressive force with every step. Despicable race. Damn race. It glared around, filled with intense hatred and murderous intent. Until one day, a long time later, a team of cultivators was hunting outside. Look, what's that? Inside the flying boat, there were 7 cultivators, each at the half-primordial enlightened level. Using their investigation secret technique, they had already glimpsed that endless fiery power. The primordial prisoner, filled with endless rage and hatred, had molten lava flowing on its body surface, flames surging, and a terrifyingly fierce aura. It's a primordial prisoner. The 7 cultivators immediately recognized it. Even from a distance, they could feel the terrible aura of the primordial prisoner. Although its aura was forcibly suppressed, the essence of the aura far surpassed that of cultivators. It was the aura of high-level primordial life. We've actually discovered a primordial prisoner. It said their power is completely sealed, so their movement speed is relatively slow, making them suitable for siege. Let's give it a try. Be careful, keep a distance. This cultivator team began to perform formations, launching attacks from a distance against the molten prisoner. Various formation attacks were unleashed, whether void-like entanglement or annihilation by earthly power. But the molten prisoner sat there motionless, allowing these attacks like scratching an itch. Despicable ants. The molten prisoner glanced over. Even though its power was completely suppressed, it was released to be an opponent for Luo Feng. To it, ordinary cultivator teams indeed amounted to nothing. It suddenly stood up. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. Illusory chains appeared on its body surface. The suppression and sealing made it unable to fly, forcing it to run in large strides. As it ran, the earth trembled. It furiously charged toward the cultivator team. As long as the distance was closed, with one strike, it could incinerate a void. Quick, run. It's a very strong primordial prisoner. Even together we can't harm it in the slightest. This cultivator team was also experienced, knowing that primordial prisoners occasionally appearing in the dark sacred realm varied in strength. The weak ones, their team could injure as well. Dozens of pinnacle existences could join hands to slaughter them. But this molten prisoner was clearly very powerful. We must call for stronger cultivators. This information can also be reported to Luo Feng Divine Emperor. These cultivators piloted the flying boat and quickly fled into the distance, while the molten prisoner, unable to fly, could only stop, resentfully watching them from afar. Only a day later. Tens of thousands of half-primordial enlightened level, over 100 pinnacle existences, Divine Emperor Jiku, Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch had all arrived, and they had formed a super grand array. Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch, the top formation expert in the dark sacred realm, was the array host. His spiritual will potent enough to masterfully control the entire formation, harmonizing the power of each cultivator. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. The power of the formation astonished and awed the cultivators, who also felt proud to be a part of it. This overwhelming formation turned into a terrifying blade, slashing at the molten prisoner's neck, leaving only slight marks that quickly healed as lava flowed over them. Furthermore, lightning bolts condensed from within the formation, striking down with a power that terrified every cultivator, repeatedly hitting the molten prisoner. The prisoner's body was too robust. After all, it was selected by Chio-Ge and Euphaya as one of the largest primordial prisoners. How is this possible? Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch, Divine Emperor Jiku couldn't believe it. The molten prisoner withstood their united attack from the formation of over 10,000 cultivators, with at most minor injuries that healed instantly. So many of us together can't do anything to it. The Dark Sacred Realm has never seen such a strong primordial prisoner. Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch and Divine Emperor Jiku exchanged glances. They had long understood that the primordial prisoner was intentionally released by a cultivator who escaped the braided cage, but this time the one released was especially powerful. It was indeed a bit absurd that even with the cooperation of tens of thousands of cultivators, they couldn't handle it. It was probably released because of Luofeng Divine Emperor. Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch communicated telepathically. Brother Longju, your formation is unparalleled in the Dark Sacred Realm. Such a formation should be able to match Luofeng Divine Emperor Jiku said. This video will end here.